Welcome, 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 everyone. As you know, tonight is our scheduled 8 o'clock call. And so we are doing a live broadcast with somebody who I feel like is so special to me, who I love from the deepest part of my heart, who has been in my life for a little over 5 or 6 years or so, or however. But I just want to welcome you guys. I want to welcome everybody from Nicole's tribe, from my tribe, from all over. Make sure you do 2 things for me. Make sure you, 1, comment below where you're coming in from. And then 2, make sure that you are sharing this out, and not only sharing this out, but you are tagging 2 or 3 of your sister girls who need to hear this, because this is about to be a sister girl conversation tonight, okay? We're about to get in real good, and we're about to understand at the beginning of the top of the year, what is it that you need in order to be the answer for 2021? Because we are so clear that 2020 was a blessing. There was some things that happened and occurred, but we are so crystal clear that 2021 is putting us into the direction and putting us into the right rooms with the right people. So without further ado, I want to introduce you all to my coach, to, I like to call my team member, to my good sister girlfriend, Miss Nicole Roberts Jones. This is my audience. Yay!
I'm coach, I'm client, I'm sister friend. I'm a whole lot of, because when you meet someone that's a kindred spirit, you find other ways to play together. So thank you, Dionna, for having me. And I'm excited to be here.
Yay. I'm glad that you're here tonight, Nicole. And so, a lot of this conversation tonight, for those that were not able to join us for one of our other conversations, for you all that were able to join us, this conversation is going to really be about being the answer. And really looking at a community of women, of sister girls who can come together and not only just push you, but now putting you in position to be able to be the answer and to take action. Because one thing I'm tired of is everybody praying about everything. Like we pray all day, right? Like we pray about everything. We go to God in prayer for everything, like we should, right? But at some point, God is like, I gave you the playbook. Okay. When are you going to take action on the things and the desires that I have in your heart? And so, Nicole, let's jump into this conversation.
Sure. What's interesting is I was having this conversation with a client earlier today. Last year, before we knew it was going to be a COVID year, we were saying this time last year, 2020 vision. And I want you guys to get this, 2020 vision. Now, a lot of people are like, well, 2020 wasn't vision. Yeah, it was. Because what God did is he sat us all the way down so that we can get intentional about the gift he placed in us. My question to you is, we start 2021, and I'm calling this, now I'm not calling this, God dropped in my spirit, that this is our for such a time as this year. If you didn't get your life together last year, you better hurry up because you're going to get left behind. And so I'm excited about this conversation tonight, because literally the gift that's in you is the answer to somebody's prayer. And every day you hold it up saying stuff like, oh, I'm waiting for my children to graduate from high school. Oh, I don't have enough money to start. Oh, I'm going to lose weight first. What's funny is one of my clients did say that. I'm like, unless you're a weight loss coach, girl, sit down. Ain't nobody care if you lose weight. Right. So I really want you to get excuses will keep you from God's abundance for you. So that's the conversation I'm excited to have tonight. And let me say this, when I met Dionna, this is so funny. This is how, you have to be mindful of the words you speak. Okay. So I'm a speaker at an event. And those of you that don't know, because Dionna is going to be humble, her gift is that she's an event filler. So I've seen her do it before she realized that's what she was doing, because she was on autopilot. So I met her when she was doing that as serving on someone else's team. And when we were in the suite before the event started, and she looked at me and introduced, she said, you're going to be my coach. And I said, okay, what's your name? I mean, because I hadn't met her. She just walked up to me. Hi, you're going to be my coach. Okay. Crazy girl. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
What did you give people?
What's funny? I'm saying that because I didn't know her. She was so excited. And I was like, can you say your name? Can you introduce me? What's your name? What do you do? But it wasn't even 3 months later that she did become my client. So you've got to look, not just see it, but you got to speak it before you can even see it. And so that in and of itself was, the beginning of a long-standing relationship, that one night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And looking at I really want to talk about that and talk about like when you take action and what happens after you take action, right? So even in that opportunity, right? So a lot of times we get these opportunities and either you're not in position or you're in position and you're scared to go forth and take action. At that point, I was kind of in position, right? Because I was working at this event, I was helping out and doing these things, and I saw Nicole and we did like this VIP night, and I was like, oh, I'm called to her. She's my girl.
And the way she said it, look, she said it to me and kept walking. I was like, hi. That's what I said, crazy woman. Oh, you're going to be my coach. And just kept walking. I was like, I had to ask somebody, who's that? Right? Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
This is true. But it's something about, so God spoke to me that day. He was like, that's going to be your coach. And I was like, well, I got to confirm this. So I'm going to just walk up to her and she going to either say yes or no or look at me crazy. And so she looked at me crazy. I said, but I'm going to walk away after I say it.
But I said, okay. But I did say, okay.
Right. I was like, I need to drop the mic on that one. But the thing is that when you take action in your life, in your business, what begins to happen is this downfall effect in a good way. Yeah. Like the domino effect, like when you hit one domino and then all of a sudden all the other dominoes start to hit. So after I made that command and I came in and I said, you know what? And I stated what it was that I wanted and I started to take action and I started to put implementation into it. That's when my life started to shift and my business started to shift too. And not only did my business start to shift, I had the opportunity to not only for Nicole to and what she does to be a part of my business, but then I got a chance to be a part of her business and to help her business grow and mature in different ways. And so when you take action, when God plants something inside of you, when he says to yes, do it, then you have to go ahead and do it. You have to be obedient, because if I was not obedient in that moment, God knows where I would have been. Now, I'm going to be very clear that I know that God orders all of our steps and he would have still brought me into this place, but it may have taken a little bit longer to get there because I didn't have somebody that was ahead of me or in place or in position who had made all the mistakes, that had did all the things, that had learned all the lessons for 15 plus years.
Dionna, you could have never said yes. And let me explain to you, God gives us free will. So he's only going to ask you so many times and he's going to say, okay, forget it. Right? Okay, I'm going to give you a blessing to somebody else that's going to say yes. And then you wonder why life is not working, why things aren't happening. But let's get into the nitty gritty because we can talk about this all day long. And I want to say this because here's the thing that I love about Dionna, and I'm sharing this. And by the way, as you're coming in, if you have questions, you have comments, look, when you see me look to the side, I'm looking at my iPad to look for your comments, okay? Because I want to answer questions. Look, I want to answer your questions. We want to get in. So here's the first thing that I see so many women do. So I want to do this because I want many of you to know, yes, this applies to you. The first thing that I see so many women do is they overlook their brilliance. So I'm going to use Dionna for an example, if she doesn't mind. They overlook their brilliance. So when I met Dionna, she said she was an event planner. Now, if you guys look up event planner in the notebook, in the yellow pages, even though, how many of y'all know what a yellow page is? Yeah, don't make me feel old. So if you Google, I should say Google, I don't know why I say yellow pages and went all the way back to the 80s. If you Google event planner, in each city you live in, you'll come up with thousands of people that are event planners. So when you begin to understand that God created a lane unique for you to swim in, and you start to get clear about that lane, that differentiates you. So you're not meant to be like everybody else. So when I started working with Dionna, I was like, you're not an event planner. And she was like, what am I? I was like, but that ain't it. Because I wasn't feeling that for her. And so as we started doing the work and started digging underneath it is when we realized her gift is an event filler. And the thing that I think is so yummy about that is I think it was like within the first week you started saying that. Didn't you get like a 4 or 5 figure contract? No, it was a 5-figure contract. Yes.
5 figures, yes.
So money starts coming effortless when you begin. See, what happens is, and this happens to all of us, this is me included. So, and it happened to me for a long time, which is why I get so passionate about it. When you wake up in the morning, you're on autopilot. So there are things that are intrinsic to your DNA. And those of you that don't know me, when I say DNA, I mean distinct natural ability. There are things intrinsic to who you be that you don't realize because you don't wake up in the morning and decide to put on, I don't decide to put on Nicole in the morning. I'm automatically Nicole when I open my eyes. So there were things that Dionna was doing and she didn't realize that they added value to other people. And when she got clear, I was like, hey, I need your help on my team, girl. So that's the first thing that I think, so many women overlook. And Dionna, do you want to share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So I think that when it comes to overlooking who you be, and we talk about this a lot, right? Like who you be, not who you are, but who you be, and really defining that. And so when it came to that, I'll give a more recent example. Up until before I met Nicole, when we started to work together, again, I was saying I was an event planner. It didn't feel good for me because then people were like, "Oh, can you do my wedding? Oh, can you do my?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I don't know."
I don't do that. Right.
I was like, I don't do that. I was like, and then I used all these words to explain what I did. But when I transitioned, I said, "Hey, I am a experienced cultivator. I Right, experience cultivator. I help women I help people to fill their events. Things start to flow differently. I didn't have to start to chase anymore. So the things started to, people and things and the money started to flow to me. So for instance, when you get very clear about who you be and how you serve, you can turn things down and not feel bad about it. I got a big call this week. I posted about it last week, and this particular client wanted to work with me. And when she told me what it was that she needed me to do, I was like, I'll do that. And I was very clear about what I did. And I was able to say, hey, this is what I do. This is what I do. And this is what I can offer you. And then these are my affiliate partners that I work with. And then you can work with them or however that nature. But I was able to clearly and not feel bad about turning down. It was a nice amount of money, turning down 6 figures. That's kind of a nice amount of money. You try to make that work sometimes. You're like, okay, I could figure this out. Right. I can maneuver my way in. But when you get clear about who you be and how you serve, you don't want anything that feels sticky or icky to you.
Because it's gonna feel easy the whole time you're doing it. It's not gonna feel good. All money's not good money. And when it's stressful money, it's hustle money, it's I need to pay my rent money. That doesn't feel good. It doesn't.
It doesn't feel good. And the other thing is that it started to attract the right team and the right partners also.
Yeah.
Because at first I was kind of all over the place with people, and I didn't really know what it was that I was doing. And I was going to these events and I was serving at these events, and I was overworking myself and over serving, because that's just what we do, right? Like as women, we just overserve a lot of times. But when you're very clear about who you be and how you serve, you get even more clear about what you're not going to do. And you're okay with saying no. I went to an event a couple of years ago with Dionna Mitchell, and she talks about like the different levels, the different ways to say no. She was like, no, hell no. She's like, when you get to your 60s, you be like, hell no.
But the thing that's interesting is so many of us think that we're clear. But, when you're driving, all of you guys that drive, you know that there's a thing called blind spots. And that's what we have in our business. I'm saying because it was me too. For years, I was walking around saying I help women maximize their potential. Yeah, that says nothing. What I began to realize when I hired my own coach, because listen, you can't coach yourself, right? So when I hired my own coach and I began to get clear on my own DNA, I realized what I do is I help women create multiple streams of income from what they know. That first thing is to get clear on the power of the one thing God created you to do or be. One of my favorite quotes, and y'all have heard this quote, is many of you are a jack of all trades, which means you're a master of none. You're trying to be everything to everybody, which means you're nothing to no one.
Yes.
Dropping my
It's not serving anybody.
And it's such, and it's so sad because I've seen so many people go through programs. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and you see that Be the Answers at the bottom of the screen. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But I see so many people pay for coaches and go through programs. This was me too, you guys. Before I hired the right coach that really, really helped me see myself, because I didn't even know what to look for. I didn't even know what to ask for. And so I had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to piece stuff together. Okay, I'm gonna buy this marketing program, and then I'm gonna buy this sales program. Oh, I'm gonna buy this online, how to create online program. Oh, I'm gonna create a member center. I bought all of that. But until I got clear on my one thing, all that money I spent was a waste because I didn't have my messaging intact. It's so important. It's so important.
Yes. And not only messaging, Nicole, but thinking about the different systems that you bought, and you were out here, there, and then you maybe had your little handy notebook with all the little different systems in there.
I have it right here. My little free notebook.
Yes, your free notebook. Yes.
I kept it because look, there was some good information in my little free notebook.
Exactly.
Right? But I didn't know how to implement nothing.
And that's the problem when you don't know how to implement, but not only know how to implement, but the bigger thing is that once success leaves clues, right? Like we're very clear about the success leaves clues, but not only does success leave clues, but systems equal success. And so when you have a lot of times, and this is what kind of burns me up when we see people that may be like famous or maybe super successful, they never really talk about systems. They never really talk about the fact that they have a system in place that keeps their business growing and moving and keeps people keeps cold market and warm market people coming in. If I'm talking some foreign language, that means you need to go talk to Nicole. But if I'm talking some foreign language to you, like this is just what it is. And so a lot of times people don't talk about that. And the cool thing about it is that when you link up with a coach and not just a mentor, like let's talk about that, right? Let's talk about the difference between a coach and a mentor. A coach is going to give you access to all the things that they have trained with, for all the investments that they have put into, so that you can be successful. Because guess what? When you're successful, they're successful. When the system works, the system works. And so if the system works for them, go ahead, Nicole.
I was going to say, the thing that I love is when someone asks me, will I be their mentor? Now, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I always say no, because how can I successfully mentor you when I don't know you? So let me make sure you understand the difference. And I can mentor Dionna because we've been working together for so long that if she called me and asked me one quick question, I can answer that. That's a mentor. So a mentor is someone you have already had a relationship with that can meet you whenever, like quickly, like a quick coffee or, and it's not ongoing. It might be once every 3 months or once every 6 months. A coach instead is someone you have a contractual relationship with, meaning that we're going to meet every other week and we have a predictable result that we're working toward. A mentor doesn't have that. You just ask a quick question or catch up on text. So understand that there's a big difference. And so when people ask me to be their mentor, I say no. And people think I'm being mean, but listen, what you're asking for is a coach. So you want me for free. So you want me to give my intellectual property away to you for free. And then you want to grow a business where you're going to ask somebody else to pay for you to coach them, but you don't want to pay for a coach. Okay. Yeah. I'm not signing up for that.
Nope. No. Not gonna happen.
You're not gonna use me. No.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm not giving my cookie away for free. I'm sorry.
That's right. Because what did Daryl have to do? He had to date you for a little second, right?
He had to bring some value to the table, right? He had to put a ring on it. No, but anyway, seriously, and even I love the conversation going back to what you were just saying about, what's interesting is people think, and this was me too, y'all. So build it and they'll come. That is so not real. What most people don't tell you is as you're building a business, and hey, Lanita, I see you. And as you guys are coming in, if you have questions, please ask us questions. I'm happy to answer your questions, right? But as you're building a business, what most people don't tell you is only 2 to 3% convert. Now, over time, you can convert more, but when you're just starting in your marketplace, nobody knows you. And then now, because there's so many people doing so many different things, and so many people doing Facebook Lives, and so many people having conversations, they're really looking at you like, is she really who she says she is, right? So that means it's even harder for that conversion. So if you want to start generating real revenue online, say you have a program and you want 20 people in that program a quarter, 2%. Now, y'all, those that don't know me, I cannot add, okay? So just know that adding is not my gift. I have a calculator in my phone. I'm not going to pull it out. So if I say the wrong number, just know adding is not my gift. So if I want 20 people in my program, I need to get in front of at least 1,000. When I say get in front of, it's not because they like me on Facebook. That's not building a community. It's not because they said, ooh, girl, that was good. No. It's did they opt into my mailing list? Meaning that when someone opts into your mailing list, that means, ooh, what you're saying is something I'm interested in. And then I've got to date you for a while, which is what brought that up. Meaning that I've got to add value. Because if my husband brought my ring to our first date, I would have been calling my girlfriends like, please come get me. This man is cray cray. But instead, what he did, hey, Dominique, what he did was he added value. And so you've got to be able to do the same thing. You've got to have value added marketing. And I'm going to say this so much. So many people, that's the other thing. I bought all these marketing programs, y'all. This is when I wasn't making money, but I wasn't clear on my one thing. So just because you buy marketing programs doesn't mean it's going to help you build a list. You've got to be clear on how to optimize the gift that's in you. That is how you begin to build the list the right way of the right people who will be ready to buy from you. Big difference. This is all stuff people don't tell you about.
Tamika, I hope that answers your question. On my page, Tamika said that she had a question about building her business, not sure how to generate more money yet. She has more of an app. and not so much of a program, and she wants to attract more advertisers. But I think that what you just said still applies to even when you're talking about advertisers, because they got to see value for their company in order to want to advertise with you. Does it make sense?
You already have to have a tribe. So listen, keep in mind that any advertiser, what any advertiser, marketing person is looking for is eyeballs. What I mean by eyeballs is people looking at your stuff. So if you already have a huge following, then yes, then people will be more apt to advertise with you, but especially nowadays. And this also is those of you that are going to ask me, because I get this question all the time about getting a loan, right? Or even doing a business plan so you can get an investor. What do you think about okay, I'll talk to you about that in a minute, Dominique. So even get loans. Listen, if you're starting a service-based business, what I mean by service, you're a coach, you're a lawyer, you're an accountant, you're someone that uses your intellectual property, your brilliance to move someone's life or business forward, a bank is not going to give you a loan, a startup loan, because they want to see, how many of y'all watch Shark Tank? Okay. So, the questions they ask: how much money have you generated? How many sales have you had? Okay. So they're going to ask you the same thing. And when you have a service-based business, that's even harder to quantify until you've been in business for at least 2 to 3 years. If you've had no revenue, who's going to invest in you? So the same with the marketing piece. If you want people to buy advertisement with you, they want to know how many eyeballs or can you guarantee? And then who are the eyeballs from? So if I say that I have 20,000 people on my mailing list, well, I have 15,000. If I say I have 15,000 people on my mailing list, I can say these are women who have started or growing their businesses. I can say 90% of them, 95% of them are African-American, right? So if I'm going to ask for eyeballs, I've got to be able to give them data. Does that make sense? Answer your question even more. So if it doesn't, ask another question. So this is all the things we talk about when we're building a business. This is all the stuff people ask me, do you need a business plan? First of all, how are you going to write a business plan if you're not clear on your one thing? You're not clear on who your target market is and how to speak to them. I mean, you ain't ready for no business plan, so sit all the way down, right? So many people say, well, I don't want to come to Be the Answer because I don't have a business plan. Girl, bye. You don't have enough information to write a business plan. Right?
Sometimes people don't even know like their target audience. Like something as simple as like what's your avatar? When you say that to people think that you're talking about some kind of movie or something. They're like, what?
And there's a whole market analysis you've got to do in a business plan. And listen, if you don't know who your ideal client is and you're going to say all women, your market analysis is not going to be, they want it all the way niched down. So if you can't speak to a certain group of people in a population, then nobody's going to take your business plan seriously. So let me answer Dominique's question, because Dionna and I both can talk. So what do you think about free lead magnets versus paid? So first of all, to me, a paid lead magnet is not a lead magnet. That's a sale. That's a product. Okay. So a lead magnet, in my humble opinion, is free. So I like to think of it as a dating. We're courting each other. So when you're asking someone to opt into something, that's called a date. Right. And so you've got to do more than that one thing. You got to allow them to experience you. So here's the other thing. People always ask me, what lead magnet should I do? There's no cookie cutter answer to that. Everybody's audience is different. Everyone has an ideal tribe. You got to know who they are. Just like if my husband gave me a gift and he bought Dionna a gift, we would want 2 different things. Well, we might like some similar things, but we would want 2 different things, right? Because she and I are not the same person, right? So understand that you've got to understand who and what they need, and you can't do it once. You got to do it ongoing, and you can't keep giving the same thing over and over. I told my husband after we had been dating, I hope he can't hear me. I said, if you buy me one more set of red roses, because that to me, there is no thought in that. Now, some of y'all be like, oh, I'd be so excited. No, can you buy me a tulip? Can you give me another color flower? Can it look like you gave some thought into the flowers you bought me? Or don't buy me none. And he looked at me, I said, I'm not trying to be funny, but red flowers means you didn't think of nothing after the first time you bought them. It just means, let me just go buy her some flowers, which means to me, no thought was put into that. So I'm saying that because some of you guys are doing one lead magnet, that's the red flowers one time, and then you think, ooh, we'll get married. That's not real. So you've got to have an ongoing, and this is what Demetria, this is what Dionna talked about a few minutes ago. You've got to have an ongoing plan on how to date your client the right way. Again, when you go buy a cookie cutter program, it leaves out your secret sauce, which doesn't always work. And Dominique, if I didn't answer your question, please ask another one or sub question. These are good questions. Good questions, though.
I think one more person had a question. I was trying to get back to my page as I was looking down.
Yes. Oops.
Oops. Here we
Look,
go.
we're both trying to get our technology
I
together.
know. We both trying to get our technology together. Okay.
While you're doing that, here's the other thing that people ask me a lot. Many people that I have the pleasure to coach are building their business alongside their 9 to 5. So many people will tell you to quit to start your business. Let me tell you something. Listen. And they say, I'm stepping out of faith. And God is like, don't put my name in that. Because there's a whole book. I said this to my mother the other day. She was laughing at me. There's a whole book of wisdom called Proverbs. God wants you to have wise faith. Okay. So what I mean by that is you've got to start building your business while you still look. You can have your lights, you can pay your mortgage or rent, you can eat. And when you're building a business and that's the only revenue you're generating, you got to put money back in your business to build your business, right? So your faith comes in when after you've been doing that for a while, and you have predictable revenue coming in, and then you quit, like Dionna has done, and then you quit. Then the faith is that you can still have that predictable revenue because you made a plan that you've seen works, right? And the faith is that that plan is going to continue to work. Now, here's what I see happen. I've seen this happen to quite a few, and this happened to me too. Oh, I had a whole plan, and then one of my clients that I have a long time said, "Okay, we're done," right? And so that's the faith in that moment. But I had been working for years before I stepped out. And then when that client went away, another one came. I was like, hallelujah, right? So there's a big difference between you just jumping out and having stupid faith is what I call that. And I said stupid and faith in the same sentence. I surely did. Or having wise faith. So
yeah, and you want to make sure that in your business too, Nicole, this is something I learned from you and from other people too, just looking at how success leaves clues, is that you want to have predictability in your business in order for it to work. Like you want to know that, hey, I have predictable income every year. If and this is something I always tell people to be wary about. For those people that say, you know what, I could teach you how to make $100,000 in 60 days. They may be able to teach you how to do it in 60 days. They may be able to, but they cannot consistently keep that money flowing for you. And that's an issue that we see a lot, especially when we talk about entrepreneurs, coaches. And that's why a lot of people have this thing of like, do I know you? Do I trust you? Do I like you? I got to test you. I got to date you for a second because I got to see if you're consistently doing this, because I don't want you just to kind of, people have coach hurt. They have all this other kind of stuff, all kinds of other hurt. And so like to be able to see somebody that's consistently doing this, because again, you have a system, you have a formula in place, and that does not mean that you don't have to pivot sometimes. You have to pivot sometimes. And I want to be clear about that, because a lot of people think, oh, well, I got this system and I'll understand, blah, blah. Now it's 5 years later. Well, it's 5 years later. Like you haven't changed anything in 5 years.
Let me say something to you. Now, I'm a God's girl, so I'm about to get some Jesus on you. So there's a story of Abraham in the Bible, right? So first of all, it's in Genesis 12:1-2, I think. If I'm wrong, it's somewhere around there. So anyway, Abraham, God calls, and his name is Abram at the beginning. I want you guys to really think about this. Every time God shifts someone, he changes their name. Okay. Esther, my favorite girl, her name was Hadassah. She became Esther. Paul was Saul. Okay. I go on and on. Okay. But the point is this. God said to Abraham, get out of your city, leave your family, and go to the place I'm calling you to. So what happens is when you get to this level, okay, and you're doing great, God is always going to want to stretch and grow your gift. So for many of you that are working a 9 to 5, they're like, dang, but I want to start a business. Why do I have this inside of me? God is calling you to the next level of your gift, which means you've got to stretch past where you are into that next level. Or maybe you've been in business for a while. This was me. And God was calling me into a new territory in my business. I started working with teenage girls. I ain't working with not one teenager now, but I realized God, that was like my externship almost, right? I learned how to do this with teenage girls. And then those teenage girls became women. They started referring their friends to me. I realized now on this side of the journey that God was pivoting my gift. And so the same thing happens. And when that happens, even COVID, last year, in March, when COVID happened, all of us had to pivot. I had live events. I had a book speaking engagements. I was like, oh Lord, I must. So everything had to pivot. So do you sit stagnant and sit, like I always call Eve, spoiled? Because Eve wanted it easy, right? Eve wanted it easy. She didn't want to do nothing challenging. All God said was don't eat from one tree. You got this whole garden. Don't eat from one tree. Her little spoiled butt went ate from that one tree. And some of y'all are spoiled. You don't want to be challenged. You want to stay in your neat, comfy office. You want to stay in your, some of you guys have high 5-figure salaries and you keep feeling this rumble. You spoil like Eve. And God is saying, okay, you're done with that. You're done. Your job now is no longer big enough for what I have for you. And so it's going to challenge you to grow outside of that. And so for you, Dionna, you had a great big job, vice principal, right? You could have stayed in that, right? Went to school for that, matriculated through the whole industry, got there, and she was like, yeah, I'm out. I'm done with this. The same thing happened to me. Listen, I worked in the entertainment industry. This is real talk. My undergraduate degree is in entertainment and film. I have been dreaming about working in entertainment since I was 7 years old. Listen, at the time I was working for, I worked for Viacom, and then I worked for the #1 TV show on Fox in casting, and I loved every minute of it. Plus, I was going to the parties, and I might have dated a star too. But I was living, my life was phenomenal, but I felt like something was missing, and I kept feeling like, what is wrong with you? Why do you feel like this? And then I started trying to talk to my girlfriends, and they were saying, what is wrong with you? Didn't we just go to this red carpet, and girl, we just went to this party, and are you crazy? But what I realized now on this side of the journey, God was calling me to the next level of my gift. I do the same thing now, 20 some odd years later. This year marks 28 years. It's like, whoo, how old am I? But 28 years later, I realized what God was doing. I'm still working in talent development and casting. Now what I do is I help you find the role for your gift and how to bankroll it. Then it was still finding the right role for you. You were getting paid, but it was in a different way. And so what I realized now, I didn't realize this at the beginning because it didn't look like this. So same with Abraham. When God said, leave your family, go into this place you do not know, he said, and I will make your name great. How many centuries later are we still talking about Abraham? I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Proof is in the pudding.
Right.
Let me see. I think somebody had one more question. Oh, they went away. Oh, went away. Anyway, but yes, I totally agree with you, Nicole. And so thinking about Be the Answer virtual, we've pivoted to virtual. Praise him.
And even that, let me tell y'all, even that. So last year, so I do Be the Answer every year is my annual event. Last year was year 5. When COVID happened, and I used to do this event once a year, okay, and it used to be only in October. When COVID happened, I realized that I still needed to do this event because women still need to grow their gifts. So let me say this. This is not a conference with a whole bunch of speakers talking to you. It's an intensive where I coach you for 2 days. I keep the room small, 40 to 50 women, so I can really coach you. So I will be honest with you. Now, TV and film came in handy because I use that background to really start going, ooh, what can I do? So again, what's the Bible verse say? All things work together for the good. Not some, not at all. Right? So when people are like, how did you think to call there? I just went to my TV and film background and started going for what I knew. So anyway, found a studio 10 minutes from my house, produced it. So it's like a real production. Okay. And I was still scared, you guys, and I'm transparent. So I was scared because one of the things that I really do at Be the Answer is I get laser in with you. I'm coaching you. I can see when you're in breakdown. I can see when you're frustrated. I can see when tears are going to come down. And that's not me. That's the God in me. That's all God. So I can feel when you're ready to quit, when you're like, this is too hard. I can feel it in the room. I was scared that I was not going to be able to feel that online. And I'm going to tell you, after the event was over, and I loved every minute of it, I still was able to coach women. I felt like, yes, I could still do this. And you don't have to leave your house. You can have your PJs on the bottom, just be dressed up, from the head up, right? I have on my workout pants, just so you know. I did dress up on the stuff today. So, and you don't have to leave your house. You don't have to, get a hotel. You need to do any of that, right? And we still did networking. Women met their next accountability partner. I was still able to coach women. So I just thought it was great for me. After the event was over, we did some post-event activation because I wanted to hear. And you can go on the website, betheanswerevent.com. Some of the women shared their experiences. They were blown away that it did not feel like another Zoom meeting. How many of y'all sick of Zoom meetings? You see my hand is up too. I made sure it does not feel like a Zoom meeting. So in those 2 days, I walk you through 4 things, and I'm a hush, right? Because I know Dionna has something special for y'all. So those of you that are ready to really start or grow your service-based business. So if you have a product-based business, this event is not for you. But if you have a service-based business, meaning, again, you're a lawyer, you're an accountant, you are a coach, you are a trainer, you're a real estate agent, you're someone that uses your intellectual property to help someone move their life or business forward. You're an event planner, right? You teach students, whatever that is, right? Even if you're a teacher and you want to use your intellectual property as a teacher to help other teachers learn how to teach. That's your intellectual property, okay? So in those 2 days, I'll teach you 4 things. The first thing is we get clear on your lane, your niche. the focus of your business, because again, you're not everybody's answer, but you're somebody's answer. The question is, do you know how to articulate who you are the answer to in a way that's unique to you? We talked about that with Dionna a few minutes ago. The second thing I teach, then mind you, I'll spell out more. So the first part of the first day is mastery of you. Then O is optimize it. How do you optimize and grow a tribe of people? How do you use your story in your business? How do you do all these things so people see you as their answer and they begin to opt in? So that's day one. Day two, I'm gonna tell y'all, this is the thing everybody want to know, is how do we is MOR revenue. So we create 6 revenue streams for you in the room. A couple years ago, I love to tell this story because a lawyer was in the room and she was like, "Oh, you can't help me. Challenge me, okay? Because trust." Okay, so I always do some hot seats. So I brought her up, and I still bring you virtually up. I did hot seats in October, and we found at 4. Now you're creating your revenue wheel, so you put stuff up there based on what I've taught you. And listen, we created 4 more revenue streams for her. She was blown away that she could take her booty home, and she did, and implement them. Right. So that, and I'm gonna tell you, you can't get to the revenue streams if you don't have your M or your O in place. It just won't work. And then the last part of the first day is execute. How many times have you been to conferences or even, dare I say, church on Sunday? And you might tell somebody, "Ooh, pastor was good," and they're like, "Oh, what did he or she teach?" And then you can't answer it. You want to know why? Because they didn't give you anything to implement. They didn't walk you through steps to take. They didn't give you action work. So I call it your master biz plan. So it's not a traditional biz plan, but what it is what steps do you need to take from what you've learned in the last 2 day and a half, really? What do you need to do after be the answer's over? So you leave knowing exactly what you need to do next. That's literally what I teach you in those 2 days. But before, I'm gonna let Dionna talk again. But before I do that, so I'm gonna tell you. So when we pivoted, when COVID happened last year, and I was more committed to make sure women got what they needed, so I was clear 2020 was still 2020 vision. It was so great. I used to do this event once a year that I said, you know what? I think I'm gonna do it again in March. So this is the first time I've ever done it 2 times in a year. So I'm doing it again because of the breakthroughs that happen in the room, because you don't have to travel, because listen, I give you an online program so you can start the work now. And I mail a swag box to your house. So you still get your workbook, you still get some little gifts from me. And we have some other surprises too. And so because it was so phenomenal and I had such a great time, I decided to do it again. And so that's why we're here. For those of you that know, like, now's your time to start your business. You need a coach that will laser in and teach you and help you really dig out that gift in you. Again, whether you're just starting out or you've been in business and you have not yet made predictable revenue, this is for you. Go to betheanswerevent.com. And let me say this.